Chapter 4, Smither, Vice, and Everything Splice. Pulling up into the sky, you shudder as you think about Smither. Smither, not Smither. He owns 4 legitimate businesses in the aesthetic lane section of the eastern fringes. But everyone knows these are fronts used to launder money from his prostitution, drug, and illegal firearms operations. Even worse, Smither fancies himself the boss of an elite-powered mob. All of his business generals form an exclusive club called the Splice Circle. Aside from possessing dangerous powered abilities, the Splice Circle generals all indulge in their splicing poison of choice, whether it be animal-human hybridization, hyper-steroid usage, or gene-deep cosmetic alteration. Not having time to fiddle with your me chip for a search while flying, you decide to test the new Thought Command function. The first wave of Thought Command technology has just been released, but it hasn't replaced voice commands entirely yet, since the software is rumored to be rather buggy. Clearing your mind and focusing on your me chip, you think, Algernon, search current Splice Circle roster. Within seconds, you get a response from me chip Algernon. Apologies, sir, but an internet package upgrade is required for your requested search. There used to be a time when the internet was available for one base price. But ever since the government allowed internet providers to bundle packages for speed and website access during the Great Depression, you've been operating out of the lowest cost bundle. Actually, your entire me chip is operating at similarly low level. The potential functions of the me chip are endless. If you have the money to pay for the services, me chips can do everything from multiple perspective surveillance to acquisition of downloadable skills. But that all requires high-level processing chips and additional fees. Poor Algernon could also have dozens of different outfits and personality dimensions if you had more money for upgrades. Welcome to the 22nd century, where class status is determined primarily by tablet functionality. And unfortunately for you, it looks like it's time for an internet upgrade, which is going to cost you. Authorize upgrade and execute search, you think, trying to focus the command through the cloud of frustration in your head. It won't be long before they start charging for air per breath, you think. Immediately, several holographic web images flash before your eyes. One is a chart listing the Splice Circle's current roster. Another, they're like a public group, you can just look up the roster. Another is a review of air humidifiers, and the last is a list of services for anger management. Understanding why many reviewers have bashed the me chip Thought Command function for acting glitchy, you try to focus on the roster listing. The Splice Circle, rumored roster. Boss, Smither. Security General, Boulder. Which roster do you want to read next? Crime Generals. Prostitution, Lowly. Oh, geez. Firearms, Casing, Underboss. What does the Underboss mean? He's the second in command? Overall? Drugs, Fracture. Notes, Lowly is the Circle's longest-standing general, infamous for the spree of disfiguring attacks that pushed her up through the ranks of her Eastern Fringe Annie gang and into the Circle. Casing remains Smither's most prized general, currently serving as the Splice Circle's underboss. Okay, I was right. Do you want to read about the business generals too? Sure. I'm not going to remember these names. Shed Club, Madam Vice. The Reyaval Bar, Kirkpatrick. Fetish Sinden, Uwanda, W. Ace's High Casino, 3rd degree. Notes, Kirkpatrick is the latest addition to the Circle, brought in to run Smither's newest establishment, the Rival Bar. Is that rival? Kirkpatrick also serves as Smither's replacement counselor. After the remains of Smither's last counselor were found split between Westport and Valor Park, Madam Vice and Smither have recently ended their multi-year affair on a sour note, causing many to wonder how long Vice will hold her position within the Circle. Satisfied with your knowledge of the Splice Circle, you prepare to take off towards Static Lane, until you notice a brief flash coming from one of the surrounding rooftops. Focusing on the source, you see it's a reporter, obviously working overtime to break the first scoop on this story. You really need to find Smither quickly, but should you take the time to swoop down for a quick interview? No. Fulfilling my duty as a hero is way more important than talking to the press. You fly into the sky, knowing you don't have a second to waste. But as you pull up into a bank of clouds, your me chip sends you a web alert. Sorry to interrupt, sir, me chip Algernon says. One of the priority alerts has activated the heroic personage press scan. You forgot you had even set the press alert, but it's a good thing you did. Whether you want the attention or not, you should be aware of what's being said about you in the press. Though you didn't think it would start happening quite this quickly. The alert takes you to Hero Press blog, where you find a photo of yourself taken literally seconds ago flying away from Tracker's penthouse. The caption reads, "Unknown newcomer cracks first lead in Gravitas case. More to come." Photo capture by Sonia Chala. Even though getting press isn't your priority, it's not the worst thing in the world for people to start recognizing you. Despite yourself, you tell Algernon to archive the file. It's the first official press-related legend boost of your career, after all. Legend prize unlocked. As a bonus for achieving one of the highest possible legend levels at this point, 8, your health level has been restored and raised to 110. Good work, hero. Would that not have happened if I'd stopped for an interview? Interesting. You take off high across the sky at top speed, knowing you need to get to static lane before the police do, or before another hero encroaching on your case does. As you fly, you consider how any powered heroes stupid enough to take on the Splice Circle in the past have always ended up dead. The latest victim appears to be the Eastern Fringe's one-time champion, Static. He's one of your idols for protecting the Fringes, but even he has been missing for months after taking on the Splice Circle. Worst of all, Smither and the Splice Circle are responsible for funding the rival anti-gang activity in the Fringes, using the gangs as a recruitment base to pipeline employees into the various branches of the organization. The anti-gangs are constantly vying for top billing with the Circle, and a gang war has been brewing for months, as evidenced by the fight you broke up earlier today. Without a doubt, Smither is responsible for making life in the Eastern Fringes highly hazardous. Knowing that he is involved with the Gravitas theft hits close to home, but you want to take on this case mostly because... serves a blow to the blah 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 criminal organization and Fringes. Being the hero that takes on Smither will make me famous. More than anything, it's just going to be fun. No. None of these reasons are why I want to do it. I want to do it because justice! And these options all suck. Whatever, we'll go with the first one. Smither has remained untouchable thanks to a team of high-priced lawyers and some corrupt contacts within the MC government. So catching him with the Gravitas could be a rare, illegal thread capable of unraveling the entire Splice Circle organization, and doing so would definitely improve life in your hometown quite a bit. You can't think of a more worthwhile heroic pursuit. That is the reason to do this. You can't think of a more worthwhile heroic pursuit. Why couldn't that have been an option? However, as you begin to breathe a bit heavier from the exertion of flying so fast, you think about how advanced this case could prove to be. Smither is no joke. He and his crew will kill you in 1,000 different ways, without hesitation. Perhaps this might be a bit more than you can handle on your first night out. Then you remind yourself that you were born for major league cases like this. Moving forward, no matter how successful you become, this kind of fear and doubt are going to be part of your career at every level. In fact, the pressure to stay afloat is only going to get worse, so you'd better learn to cope with it now. After a super fast flight back to the Fringes, you land... Why didn't I spend points for that? That's curious. You land on a roof across the street from Smither's club, Shed. Your favorite hero tip-off blog, Just the Tip, says it's rumored that Smither has his secret base of operation hidden somewhere in the Shed, since he was once romantically linked to Madame Vice, Shed's owner. Madame Vice has the power to seduce people into doing her bidding, and you've also read that ever since being unceremoniously dumped by Smither, she might have aspirations to take over his head honcho role. Since I'm homosexual, I wonder if it still works on me. While this is a tidbit, you may be able to use your advantage if things get nasty inside. Right now, you need to discover the location of Smither's hidden headquarters within Shed. What's the fastest way to do so? Who's as a customer? Break into the back and search secretly, burst in, powers blazing, and demand to see Smither. So option 3 is out. Options 1 or 2 are both decent. I think customer seems like a bad idea. We'll go the second one. Break into the back and search the premises without being seen. You drop down into the alley behind Shed and walk up to the back door, using an energy crackle to pop open the lock, for free I guess. You slip inside and find yourself in a darkened room. As your eyes adjust, you spot a deep red light coming from somewhere across the room. You look at the light and suddenly one step follows another. Fuzz. Feels nice. Moving back. 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 There stands Madame Vice. So pretty, you think. So pretty, with the blood-red eyes. Tell me, rude thing, she says, her voice oozing. What on earth brings you to my dark corner of the world? You want to tell her everything. Her with her flowing auburn hair, wrapped in that tight red leather. Her body impossibly curved with plastic enhancements. What if she has no powers, and I'm just really that easy? You want her to trust you more than anything. Who cares if you're gay? You still want to touch. You want to tell. She's so pretty. Just tell. I'm here to, but as the words leave your lips, one thought breaks through the rest. Madame Weiss has hypnoseduction powers! Oh, why would you forget that? Which must be why you can't seem to think straight. Oh, you think, well, I'm a brilliant genius deductionist. As you feel the slightest bit of control creep back, you decide that you'd better not waste the opportunity. How are you going to handle Madame Weiss? Tip her off about the police. Perhaps she'll choose to save herself, if I do. I like that option, but I'm really curious more about this option. So we're going to attack her while I have the chance for power cost 5. With all your willpower, you raise your hands to blast Madame Weiss point blank. You fire off a shot and the guilt threatens to overwhelm you. As Madame Weiss dodges your blast and breaks her concentration, you immediately feel your senses return to normal. But before you can totally regain your bearings, Madame Weiss pulls out a long whip and lashes you with it. The whip must be charged with some kind of electric current because a shock sends you reeling across the room. You hit the ground hard, making sure to keep your eyes closed, since you don't need Madame Weiss hypnose seducing you again. You let out a quick energy pulse, hoping that will do the trick. For free? I do not understand how the powers work in this. When you open your eyes, you see Madame Weiss sprawled across the floor, unconscious. You experience an intense rush of sadness, but push the emotions from your brain, knowing it's just the after effects of Madame Weiss's powers. You stand and walk over to her, seeing that there is something attached to the end of her whip. Curious, you reach down and grab it. You examine the gold tip of the whip and can't believe your eyes. The gold mechanism is a telelock, a wildly expensive and wildly illegal security measure that grants teleportation and entrance into doorless rooms. The only way into Smithers' secret headquarters must be through one of these telelocks, which you imagine only his splice generals carry. Since telelocks take the form of tokens unique to each owner, and only respond to their brainwaves, it's useless to you without Madame Weiss. Though there is one trick you might try. But before you can give it a shot, you feel a tap on your shoulder. Please tell me I can use my powers to remove Madame Weiss's brain and just carry it around with me, because that'd be the best buddy superhero thing ever. You raise your fist and spin around, freezing the moment you do. You instantly recognize the face smirking back at you. It belongs to Jury, another aspiring hero. He stands with his arms crossed, the wind from the open door flaring his black and white costume, which was made to look like a sleeker version of Judge's robes. But his name is Jury, not Judge. Which makes total sense, because Jury's real name is Aaron Victon. He's the son of Judge Victon, who is now better known as the long-standing mayor of Millennial City, and the man who sentenced your parents to their lifelong prison exile. Do I sense a rivalry coming on? Jury has the power to see through the eyes of any 12 people nearby at once, hence the code name. It's a really weird number to... Okay. He's become a C-list hero, thanks mostly to his father's position. Anything Jury has gotten, he has bullied or bribed out of people thanks to his last name, or charmed them with his good looks and social status. If you'd had the advantage Jury had, you'd already be MC's #1 hero, and you know it. You really are inclined to hate Jury for just about every reason under the sun, but you have to be careful not to give away your real identity. The last thing you want is for the Victon family to know the connection between your Taserface, Sterling, and Hamner identities. What's he gonna sound like? Well, you're new, aren't you? He's gonna be snotty, I guess. Jury says, looking you over from head to toe like a piece of meat. What's your name, stud? Jury seems to like what he sees, though you wonder if he treats everyone like this. He's a conventionally gorgeous blonde guy, so he must be used to flashing a smile and getting his way. Even you have to force yourself not to linger on the imprint of Jury's abs, or the curve of his broad chest through his costume. He may be hot, but you want nothing to do with a creep like Jury. Still, he doesn't necessarily have to know that yet. How do you want to play this? Flirt with Jury to get my way. Or treat him like the scum he is, or doesn't deserve to occupy even a second of my time. Let's flirt with him. That sounds fun. I'm Taserface, you say, placing the hand on Jury's chest. I'm a big fan of yours, and I'd love to talk sometime, but I've got to get going. Yeah, about that, Jury says, blocking your path. You're cute and all, but you don't know how things work yet. I just got a call from Rexford Schillers myself. The police told him they have a lead on his missing gravitas. He's a dear friend of my father's. You do know who Mayor Victon is, don't you? Jury gets closer to you. Way closer than you'd like. His breath smells like stale beer, and you're pretty sure you can make out the beginnings of a cold sore on his lower lip. Tell me what you know, and I'll see as a serious favor, and I'm the kind of guy you want to owe you, if you get my drift. Jury puts his hand on your hip, and you pull away, trying desperately to keep your cool. And if I don't? You ask through clenched teeth. Jury's slick smile fades. Then let's just say that having the mayor of Millennial City as an enemy isn't a really great thing for an aspiring hero, is it? There's no way in hell you're backing down from this case. No matter what Jury threatens you with, still, you do need to find a way to get him off your tail. He could cause some serious trouble for you if he gets the gravitas first. How do you want to deal with him? Seduce Jury and knock him out, or send him on the wrong trail with a false tip. I'll go with the second one. Listen, the police gave me a special tip, you say with a warm smile. They said, save your breath, Jury says. I know exactly where I'm going, I just need the amateurs to stay out of my way. Got it? Oh well, you tried. Without wasting a second, you knee Jury hard in the gut, then crack an elbow across his face. Jury will definitely want to pay you back for this, but as you look at him lying helplessly on the floor, you know it was totally worth it. It won't be long before Jury wakes up, so you turn your attention back to the telelock, and you're one shot at accessing it. Sometimes, if you channel your energy power through electronics in just the right amount, it can jumpstart their functions. Fair enough. However, too much power fries electronics, a talent that comes in handy for some situations, but not this one. Figuring it's worth a shot, you grasp the golden tip at the end of the whip. Why is it the tip and not the handle? And close your eyes. You allow a small wisp of energy to flow from your fingertips through the telelock, hoping this will coax it into cooperating. Then, out of nowhere, you feel a massive surge building in your forearms. No, you shout out loud, unable to stop a wave of stanky bean energy from bursting through your hands. When the light from your blast clears, you see the charred remains of the whip in your hand, and the golden telelock is completely shorted out. Despite years of training, your powers can sometimes act unpredictably. I could have murdered someone. I could have murdered Vice if that had happened, though this was a rather inappropriate time for a surge to flare up. What are you going to do now? But before you can even finish forming that thought, you feel your insides turn fluid. The room swirls around you and you stagger backward. Then, you scream. Next chapter, Prodigies.